Welcome back, friends. Today I am with Ashley from the Blended Bond, and she has some very interesting topics to discuss, including an amazing tool which she so generously sent me her ebook version of her communication tool, which I've had a chance to look through, which I think is absolutely amazing. So I can't wait for you all to hear what Ashley has to say. So, welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you. It's so nice to be here. Yes, Ashley from the Blended Bond. I created a tool from a labor of love and just my own experiences through life and looking to share it and find our community and help others that are in the same situations as we are, because it's now like almost half of the population.
Yeah.
So it's nice to really just bring awareness to that and help one another instead of feeling like you're so alone in it all too.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I was just talking about. I was building my community because I felt alone, and communicating can be hard, and communicating with kids can be hard,
Mhm.
even without the blend. The blend just adds an extra complexity to it.
Another layer.
It does. So anyone who's not familiar with you, did you want to do like introduce yourself a little bit, talk about your life experience as much as you want to share and who you are and what you created in a bit more detail?
Yeah, so I've actually blended family has really kind of been my whole life, almost since birth, that I kind of realized the other day talking to somebody else. I've always had, I grew up with my stepfather and my mother, and then they had my younger brother, so I had a step family or a blended family there. I also have a sister who was given up for adoption, but back with the family. So we had a blended kind of situation there, being away from each other for 16 years.
Wow.
Um, my first marriage, my ex-husband had a child from previous relationships, so I was instant blended family. It felt very like I grew up this way. I get it. I can understand it. We more so fell into issues with the bio mom, which eventually just kind of dissolved us a little bit. We were very young too, so it was hard to take on so much that you don't really have resources to at the time. But we've been wonderfully co-parenting for the last 12 years. And now I am engaged, and we have three 13-year-olds all together. So my fiance has two twin 13-year-old boys, and then I have a 13-year-old daughter. So it's
Wow.
been blended co-parenting. I don't know if like the stars aligned and this is what I was supposed to do in my life, but it's
Yeah.
been all my life.
And I feel that as well. So my story is very similar. I am the youngest ours baby of a blended family. My mum raised my two older siblings that are from my dad's previous marriage. When I was 19, I got into a relationship with the guy with a kid, and I
Mhm.
was with him for almost 4 years, and I was the only mother that child ever knew because his mum was not in the picture. Um, and then I didn't have a child with him, but when that relationship broke up, I got into another relationship, had a child, and then that didn't work out. And now my husband and I are together, and he brought two boys. And I can't imagine having three 13-year-olds because I thought it was bad enough having an almost 16-year-old, almost 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old boy. Um, so
They're probably the same thing.
the boys are all 2 years apart, and I thought that was bad enough. So having three, yeah, three 13-year-olds, that's intense.
It is, but also at the same time, I'm like, they all go through the things at the same time, but they
Hmm.
also go through the things at the same time. So like it feels short and fast,
Yeah,
and intense versus, oh, we got to do this again.
yeah,
So it's
that's
kind of nice.
probably better. We're going through those milestones. It's like we just get over it with one child, then the next one hits that
And
stage.
the next one, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so do you want to explain a little bit more about your tool, the blended bond?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously you sent me a little snippet of what it is.
Yeah, I actually was so fascinating. I've really connected so much with Australian community, and I don't know what it was. And maybe and I was trying to deep dive about why is there so much like resonating between the two. which was why I actually created the e version, because I wanted to make it accessible for anyone instead of dealing with all of the shipping and stuff sometimes. I made the e version to kind of give a snippet, and also like if you wanted more, I'm like looking to branch that out too. But it actually is like it is a physical deck. This is 90 cards. This actually started from when we first moved in together, the five of us. Um, we obviously, with the same ages, there was a lot of angst and tension and hormones and things, not understanding like what was all going on. I could tell kids had feelings. I've always been someone to like, I love to talk through things. I love to communicate. I love to sit down. Like, how can we solve this together? So we started having these like family meetings once a week. Like, hey, is there something that happened this week that someone needs to talk about? Or how do you guys feel with XYZ? And I was really fascinated by the way the kids opened up. And I would just start keeping little questions in my notes app in my phone. And then I'd be like, oh, this will be a good one to ask them. And this will be a good one to ask them. And over time, it just really was like moving mountains for us, because it would be small things that were maybe an issue, but we could fix that. We had no idea it was just, that it was a certain meal or whatever was the issue that threw off the child. And so I just started probing questions. And then after about maybe 6 months, I was just chatting with a friend about it who was going through something similar. And she was like, why don't you make this? And I kind of laughed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I already have a job. I have 3 kids now. Like, what is this? But I actually have graphic design and arts and fine arts is in my background. I love computer work and all of that. So the creative part of it was no problem, like easy. I designed the game easy breezy in like a week.
Yeah.
And then it was figuring out, oh, how do you produce this? So I just started connecting with people more, and I thought maybe I'd just make it, and this will be my project for the next couple of years and see how it does. And it was just really fascinating that it took off and other people were able to use it too, and it's just kind of expanded. So yeah, it's 90 prompts. They're all categorized, so I'll try to show you. They all have like different symbols at the bottom. There's about 15 for each category. There's like one about growth, one about trust, one about connection. Then I have like fun cards too, activities that are great to help the family come together. And so the e version is kind of much shorter version of it all, just to give a snippet. But then the full deck is the 90.
And
And
I
it's
don't,
more like, oh, sorry.
sorry, I just had a thought while I was thinking about
Yeah.
this because obviously I haven't seen the full deck of cards, but I
Mhm.
don't know, and maybe I'm just adding to your workload with my thought, but I was thinking about some of the tough conversations we had early on because we moved really quickly in our relationship.
Mhm.
As soon as the boys met each other, they started calling each other brothers and asking for sleepovers. And then next minute, we're moving in together, we're getting engaged, and then we're having a baby, getting married. And a lot of our hard questions were around having an ours baby. So I don't know if there's any questions in the pack, but if not, maybe you need an expansion pack of those
Yeah.
questions for when adding an ours baby,
Adding,
because
yes, yeah.
um, that was mostly where we had the hard questions was when we were having a baby. So maybe I just added to your workload.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I actually have, there's a lot of expansion pack. I just finished a single parent expansion pack,
Oh,
because I know
awesome.
not everyone's in a blended family. And so I wanted to address like when you want to, talk to your child, you've just separated, whatever it is, they might have questions, you want to talk through things. So I created an e version for that. I'm planning to do one of like dating with kids,
Yeah.
questions before you even move in together, things you should probably talk about. But I like that idea about a separate one about adding a new child into the mix, because I do think that does bring up a lot of different topics and stressors too. So I love
It
that
does.
idea. I like more workload. It's fine.
Sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off. It was just when I was thinking about, I'm like,
Oh,
what are
it's
some
okay.
hard questions we had? And most of ours were actually about adding our daughter.
Yeah.
Because my youngest stepson, he's autistic, so he's very easily, like, he takes things literally. Um, and he'd hear things that his mother would say, and she would say things like, "Well, it's not your sister because it's not coming out of my tummy." Um, and so we had to have those hard questions, and because he was confused, and he's like, "Well, why can't I be happy about this?" And and I know my son, when he was adding siblings on the other side, I I had to kind of nurture him because he doesn't have the relationship that he can talk so openly with his dad. Um,
Yeah.
and so like when he thought he was getting another baby sister on that side, he was ecstatic. Then he found out that it was a baby brother, and his whole attitude changed.
Oh, uh-huh.
So, yeah, that was just, I was thinking, like, an expansion pack on that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So, sorry
And
to
actually that
distract.
was no, that was actually my in my first marriage, that's what kind of happened. We didn't really have the issues with my bonus daughter, then we're still connected. I still get to see her. Um she's was she 5 years older now? She's like 16 and
Wow,
driving now. It's crazy.
that's crazy.
She drove me to the mall the other day and I was like, what is this? But it wasn't in position that she wasn't accepting of it. It was more like you were saying, it was things that her mother at the time were telling her, like, this isn't your sister, you can't refer to her as that. So it was conversations around that we had to kind of, fix and adjust on our side to let her know, like, family is family, whatever you choose to call, your sister or whatever is up to you. And left it a little bit open and safe for her. And we've always still raised them together. So they've had that connection. She's older now, so obviously a lot more comes to light and she understands differently now. But that's actually a really good point of a special pack for that because it is really specific too.
It is. But let's touch on some of the questions. So, just from the ebook, I was looking at it.
Mhm.
I also think that this would be just handy for normal nuclear families as
Yeah,
well, because
yeah,
I know for me, I am very much like you. I want to talk through things. I want an open,
mhm,
clear dialogue between my children. And sometimes that makes my husband uncomfortable, but he is a Gen Xer and I'm a
yeah.
millennial. So, and I feel like
Oh, same, I think.
I think like millennials more so want to give our children everything that we didn't have.
Mhm. Yes.
Where, I was very much children were seen and not heard, and we didn't talk about our feelings. We shoved it all down. And I've had to do a lot of healing, which I think your tool will prevent our children from having to do healing in their 30s.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's where it stemmed from for me too. My childhood was so much of I don't care what you feel, but your feelings don't really matter. I'm the adult, you're the child. And I was going through things and I had all these layers of family and my biological father and all this stuff. And I wasn't allowed to like talk about it or not comfortably. I could always tell my mom it was like an off topic. She did not like to discuss my father. And I just always knew I wanted different. Not that that was, bad or wrong. It was just a different time. And now I love the way like our kids open up about some of the answers to these questions or just conversations with us or feelings that they share. And I'm like, my gosh, I could never have shared that with my parents.
Yeah,
And they have such safe spaces now. And I think it's just beautiful because we're creating like this next generation of really aligned kids with their feelings. They feel vocal. They know they have a place in this world and their feelings matter. So I think it's giving them just more tools to add to their toolbox.
absolutely. And then you just reminded me of a reel I saw the other day. I don't know who made it, but she was saying that millennials are raising the most dangerous generation because, Gen Alpha are going to be the most secure adults because as children, their voices matter. They're being told that their voices matter. And in a blended family, that's important too. And my husband and I are very much, our marriage comes first, but not at the expense of the kids. So
Yeah.
what we decided to do in our marriage was never going, like the kids were never going to sway our relationship. We're a united
Mhm.
front. And questions that we had from family were like, well, how do the kids feel about you having another baby? And it's like, well, ultimately, it's what we want to have another baby, but how can we best
Mhm.
support them in their
Mhm.
feelings? Because the children don't get to decide if we add to the family or not. If it was a nuclear family, no one would be asking
Yeah,
how do the children feel about you adding to the
that's a
baby. But
really good point.
for some reason, when it's a blended family, people have all these different opinions.
Mhm. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Nuclear families wouldn't be asking either. And you make such a good point of it is a choice between you and your husband, but then you're also allowing a safe space for the kids to ask questions, to, have different feelings, or maybe to come to you with concerns instead of, we're having a baby. That's it. It's a little more open ended.
Yeah, absolutely. Even people questioned us, so we eloped, and
Mhm.
we chose to have a childless wedding.
Mhm.
So we didn't have our kids there, and people criticized us for it. And we're like, our wedding is about us and our marriage moving forward. Our whole relationship has been about the kids and what's best for the kids, and we wanted something for us.
Mhm.
So we actually eloped with my best friend and her partner as our witnesses, and we didn't invite any family, and we didn't have the kids there, and we just posted it on Facebook that night and went, surprise, we're married.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but people asked us, well, how do the kids feel about it? Well, we had those conversations. They were confused because they were also told, like, particularly my stepsons, because they were told, like, I wasn't their stepmom, but my husband's saying, well, she is your stepmom. And then it's like, but you're
Mhm.
not married. And it's like, well, we're getting married. Does it matter? Even if we chose not to get married, she's still your stepmom. She's still in this house.
Mhm.
Um, so I can see where your tool can help with those because there's a lot of my community deal with the high conflict bio mums where the stepmoms are being told that they're not relevant. And the kids are being
They
told
don't
that
have
the
a
stepmom's not relevant and they don't have a
Mhm.
place. And the bio mums that do listen, they're very much on, I would say, the same wavelength as you and I, where we're secure in our roles. So if our child has a step parent, that's not going to impact our relationship with the child because we know who we are. Um, but we're not opposed to like self growth to do better for our
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
So
I love
it,
that. Yeah. I think it's so important. You said it so great. I think I'm gonna forever remember that it's just when you're so secure as a whether it's a step parent or the bio mom on the other side, it's just being secure with yourself, knowing that no matter what other, you know, adults or relationships happen for your children, you're still at the end of the day, like they have you as their specific role. That I always thought I love my daughter's stepmother. My ex-husband remarried and they have 3 more kids. And she actually feels like a really close, like almost like a sister in life with me. We can, talk about the same things. We can talk about what's going on. We'll meet up once in a while to get dinner and how are the kids? How can we help my
I
my
love that.
daughter between the two houses? Where it was never like a threat. It just is you were another person, especially a female in that house for my daughter. I am thankful for you. I'd rather that than maybe like, on her own without you. Um, that it can just be such a beautiful relationship. And I know that's not always very common, but I think it's so much of if it's safe and healthy and it's just more personal hurt or feelings, that's more of something, it's there's healing that just has to be done on, the other end.
Absolutely. And my case is I do not have a great relationship with my son's stepmother. It's a
Mhm.
very toxic relationship, but I don't diminish her role to him.
Yeah. Yes. And that's part of that secure part too, is it doesn't have to be butterflies and roses, but there's a respect, you understand, you respect the role, all of that. That's all you can ask for, honestly.
Exactly. But every
Mhm.
high conflict biomum that I've met that is like she's not the stepmom, it's because they're just not secure in themselves and they actually have a fear of being replaced. Um,
Yes. which tells me then just be the mom for your kid and nothing happens.
Right.
Just be
Um,
the mom, just do what you're gonna do.
so I think your tool would also help the kids when they're confused.
Hmm.
Because I think that's where a lot of it would come from. Like some of the questions that I was reading, it would help the kids. Like I think one of them was like, was it about your place in the family? I guess I'm
The connection,
paraphrasing. It's more like the three that are in the connection section.
the connection, yes. Hmm.
They, if I summarize the three of them, it's basically getting the kids to talk about where they feel their place is in the family. But you can also ask them, because as secure adults, we don't get butthurt over what our children say to us, right? Because their feelings matter. And I know that I have two stepsons, right? They're 2 years apart.
Hmm.
One wholeheartedly sees me as an extension, as another mother. The other one, I'm dad's wife, and I'm his stepbrother's mother, and I am his half sister's mother, but I am not his
Hmm.
mother. I'm an
Hmm.
adult that lives in the house, and that's okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but it's
It's
important.
how he's placed the roles for what he has to his point of view.
Exactly. But he's also
Hmm.
autistic, so things are black and white for him. He has mum, he has
Hmm.
dad, and you are not mum, you are not dad because he's got a stepdad in the other house.
Hmm.
But I think those questions are important. I think sometimes parents are scared to ask those questions because they're actually scared of being butthurt because they don't want to hear the response.
Yes, I've heard that a lot. I've even witnessed it a little bit probably in our family. I think it's sometimes I don't mind getting uncomfortable. I think that's where we grow the most.
Hmm.
And if there's some question or something I can't ask my child, then that tells me that there's some disconnect in whatever I'm presenting to my child too. Like I want this to be open. I want to learn from them too. And we've had some tough ones because we keep it at our dinner table. We ask when we're at dinner and just ask a couple questions a night, just instead of being like, "How was your day?" and they all say good.
It's
um,
always good. Good. What happened?
it was good,
Nothing.
fine, nothing. What'd you do? What'd you learn? Nothing. So they're all meant to be open ended, just to at least elaborate a little more. But we've had some where, and it's made even my fiance a little challenge too, especially with some of the boys and his relationship with them, because they've always been in this like bro space and it can get really intense. And I came from girlhood, which we talk about our feelings. So they would have some difficult times, but they would also grow a lot from it. So it would get tense. We could all feel it. But then what came out of it, like 30 minutes later, and how it's then progressed ever since, is so worth the uncomfortable 30 minutes that it was. And I did have someone else I was talking to, and she was like, "Man, I love these questions. I'm actually scared to ask, my son some of these questions." I'm like, "Don't be scared. I think you'll learn more. Don't be afraid of it. It's information."
Absolutely. So I've always asked open-ended questions to my son early on.
Mhm.
I left his dad because of DV. I've spoken about on the podcast, so I'm not going to go into too much
Mhm.
detail. But when he was 3, it was just before his third birthday, and he knew exactly why we were leaving. So, like, I remember this one day I was like crying, I'm packing up the house, and he walked up to me and smushed my face between his little chubby hands and said, "Mama, are we leaving so we can be happy?" And that broke my heart. And so here, kids can't do therapy until they're 5.
Okay.
So basically, he turned 5, and I was like, "You need a therapist."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's also helped us have a very open relationship. So he can say things to me without fear of hurting my feelings because he knows that even if he hurts my feelings, he's not going to be in trouble. But
Yes. Always
he
a safe space.
doesn't have that same relationship with other adults in his life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So him and I have had a lot of tough conversations because, we try to protect our kids from separation, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, he knows that his dad and I were bad for each other, whereas my stepsons still don't even fully comprehend why their parents got divorced because they never fought in front of them.
Yeah.
They never saw that their dad slept on a couch for 2 years because
Yeah.
he would make up a bed on the couch after they went to bed, and he'd get up in the morning and pack it all up before they woke up in the morning. So for them, it was very blindsided, and they were 5 and 7 when their parents split up. And so they still, and even though like I've been in their life longer than their parents were together, like in their life, they still have questions because they don't understand.
I don't
Um,
understand. Yeah. I really love that you had, the conversation with your son like you did to at least give some context. And like he knew and he understood a little more.
yeah,
They don't need to know the full picture and all details, but they at least understand what went wrong and that it wasn't right. Versus that gray space of I don't know why my parents aren't together.
yeah.
It can feel so like a void for them, which I would imagine maybe some of the other kids might feel like I don't understand, and that hole can just keep spiraling, and then they make their own thoughts, their own stories, which just doesn't help what the present is too.
And it makes it worse as well because kids at school are mean. So I know
Mm,
our eldest, he's had girls in primary school used to bully him and say that the reason his parents were divorced were because of him. He just got suspended from school because he was fighting over someone said something about his mum. And I was like, mate, like, have the
mm,
upper hand, talk smack to him and be like, well, which one are you talking about? Because I have two.
yeah,
And
yeah,
he's like, why didn't I think of that? And I said, because you would have completely fucked with this kid's mind because
yeah,
he would have
yeah.
just been confused
I get
by you've got two mums. And then
it.
the almost 14-year-old was like, but then then the other kid's gonna think that you're lesbians. I'm like, and so what? What does
Yeah.
that matter? Like, he would have just stumped this kid by showing that it doesn't impact him, that he doesn't care, but at the same time, he still internalizes that because he doesn't actually understand why his parents split up.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
black and white. There's this, for my son, he knows. He saw it, he witnessed it. As traumatic as that was for him, we've done a lot of work with therapy to help him rebuild his relationship with his dad,
Mhm.
to the point that his dad and I just had the most beautiful moment with him at school. So I know like the school structure is a little different between our countries, but year 6 here is the final year of primary school, like elementary school, before they go to high school. We don't have middle school, so it just goes elementary, then straight into high school.
Then okay.
And here we have school captains. I don't know if you have it where you are, but similar to a class captain, but it's for the entire school.
Okay. Not like principal, like is it a student-based
It's a
captain?
student, it's like a student-based role. So
Okay.
basically, he's the leader and he delegates tasks to other senior students.
Okay. I love it.
And so he had a badge ceremony, and his father and I were actually able to stand side by side, get photos with him. Whereas, you know, 8 years ago, we couldn't even stand to be in the same
Mhm.
room as each other.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Those are huge wins. Like, and even if it's small, it means so much. And I think it reflects so much to the kid too, to just see your parents, especially if you haven't had that like close encounters together a lot, to see it then finally, it's like, oh, their worlds like kind of come together for a little bit and they can just, like
But
reset. Like,
they had like this little afternoon tea in the school's library where the parents could come have afternoon tea with the students. And so
mhm,
he was really anxious. He'd talked to his therapist about it. He goes, oh, I wish it wasn't happening. I don't know what to expect. There's all these people coming. And he walked in and he looked like he was holding his breath. Like he walked in, he's like, and then he just went, because he saw that he had I was sitting there next to my mum, who was sitting next to his other grandmother, and then he saw his dad and his grandfather, and he was like, okay, like everyone is getting along. Yeah. And but he had expressed to me, I don't know if he had talked to his dad about it, but he had expressed to me that, he was feeling nervous. He didn't know what to expect. And I was just like, at the end of the day, this is for you. And if adults in your life can't put their own issues aside, that's a them problem, not a you problem. And he was the one who said to me, he goes, can you ask dad? to get a photo with you and me. And I was like, I'll ask. I said, I can't make promises, but I'll ask. And so before it all happened, I said, like, I pulled his dad aside and I said, hey, did Big K talk to you about today? And he goes, no. I'm like, okay. He wants us to get a photo with him. He doesn't have any recent photos of us together. And it's important for him. He wants photos of us together. And he actually froze. Like, he had to think about it. And I'm like, is that okay? And he goes, yeah, I guess. I'm like, great. But it's not like I'm going to frame the photo and put it on my wall or post it on my social media. It is just for our son to have. And I've kept every photo from when my ex and I were together and put it in a box for my son so that he
Mm-hmm.
has those memories. So, because even though the relationship ended badly, it wasn't always bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important for my son to see that as well.
I did that as well. I have a box for my daughter of everything when her dad and I were together. Because, like you said, they're still, and it's still part of their life. And I want her to choose what she would like to do with that, as she's older, and things to keep or things she doesn't mind to like get rid of. But I think it's so important that they get to make that decision. I love that you do that too. Yeah.
So, and at first, like, I didn't know what to do with them. Like, I held on to them and I was like, I don't know what to do with them. And then it was my husband who was like, keep them for him. I'm like, yeah, actually, that's a smart idea. And so I even have photos on my Facebook still. And my husband is the same. Like, he has photos of his ex-wife on his Facebook, but we've kind of locked it down into a folder that only we can see so that when the kids are
Yeah.
older, we can
They
show
can
them
have those. Yeah.
because
I think I
that,
have my whole wedding an album still on Facebook, but like locked, like private or something. Cause I'm like, I want her to have it one day. Like, and I don't
yeah,
know, I don't want to print all these Facebook photos. So I'm like, they're there floating in an album.
yeah, just leave them there and then just send them and you do with it. And then once you have the photos, we can delete them from our.
Yes. Yes. When my daughter was born, actually, I created an email address for her when she was
Yes.
born. I forget where I saw this. And so I would send her emails or little pictures of things ever since she was born. And obviously, over that time, her dad and I split, we divorced, and all of that. So then there was a lot of different things, like different things her and I shared together, or moments I was really proud of her, or something funny she said about us, or whatever it was. So I've always just shared it. And now, finally, was it this year? I think this year she had to use an email for school now, and she got to read through stuff, and there's just some great old memories, some great through like this transition of life that she got to see, like things when she was a baby, when she was a toddler, and it was just her and I. And then she was in, elementary school, things that we all did, or maybe a little graduation
Did that
photo or
with my
something.
son
But
as well.
yeah, I
So
love it. Yeah.
I haven't gone back into it. Like, I have access to it, but I
Mhm.
haven't. I've been a bit slack in the past couple of years of sending it, but I did the exact same thing. So I know there's like, I even sent him the pictures of his birth, um,
Yeah.
which I can't look at myself because his birth was very traumatic for me, but like I had to find them for something and I was like, well, I've got them. I'm going to email them to him so that he has
He can
them,
have one.
and he can look at them because there's photos of his dad and I together and
Mhm.
when he was a baby and all of that. So like I've sent him everything anytime. And even if like something popped up on a Facebook memory and I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I sent that to him, I'd like download it and email it and go, this popped up, and send it. And like send him little notes with them, like talk about the day and the time we
Mhm.
went on a road trip one day and he was only about 4 and I typed out the road trip in detail and talked to him about what we did and sent all the photos. So yeah, there'll come a time where I hand it over, but he's still only 11, so
Yeah, you have time.
yeah,
I
but I
love that
love.
though. I love that we both actually cherish saving memories for them, because I do
Mhm.
think there's, a lot of parents who get rid of it. I don't want the memory, all of that. And it's hard to hear that sometimes because you want to, like, but the child doesn't know yet, and or it's their life too, and maybe they'll want something, of a memory. So I like that you do that as well. It's for
Yeah.
them. That's where it's
My
like secure part again.
and my husband did it too, and I'm in a lot of stepmom groups on Facebook and I see it all the time, and this is where you find an insecure stepmom. They're like, "Oh, he's still holding on to all the wedding photos." Is he holding on to the wedding photos for him or is he holding on to them for
Mhm.
the child? Because I know when we moved in together, he was going through all these containers and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" And when he left, his
Mhm.
ex-wife gave him everything, wedding photos, baby albums, and I'm like, she didn't want to hang on to any of this, like baby albums. I was absolutely shocked by that because I'm like, I'm not giving up any of my baby photos of my son.
Yeah. No, I want all the
Like
baby stuff.
if he doesn't have it, that's on him. Like I have all I have his baby book. I have, all the photos. I have his first lock of hair, his first tooth. Only the first
Yes.
tooth. I didn't keep all the rest. Um,
I kept the rest and then I just showed my daughter recently and she was very disgusted. So we're
well,
done with those now.
I actually want, so I have his first. When my daughter loses her first, I've seen that they can make rings out of baby teeth. And I always wanted to do that with my breast milk, but I didn't do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I can get a ring made out of Big K and Little K's baby teeth.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that.
So I feel like that's a little less creepy than just keeping it in a box because it's currently in a
Yeah, my
little
boyfriend
baggie in
had
my
bought
jewelry
yeah,
box.
it's literally a little like old gum case. And I was so excited. I was like, look what I found. She's like, that's disgusting. I'm like, when you're a mom, you'll understand. No, we haven't seen the box since.
So funny.
I should have took them all and just like made it into something.
Yeah, well, it's probably, if you knew, you would have thought about it, but
Yes.
the weird things mums do. Um,
Hmm.
but I really love your tool, because these are questions that I would have asked all my kids, and I love that you also did like the creating a ritual,
Hmm.
which
Yeah,
is
I need
something
something
that
to.
that's something we did, and it would very much be over dinner, and our ritual would be transition night dinner. So
Hmm.
we've always transitioned on a Friday, so we would make it a pizza night. So whether we got takeaway pizza, frozen pizzas, or made them at home, that was our night, and we would talk about things and bring up hard questions.
Hmm.
And I think your tool would make it a lot easier for a lot of people to have those hard
Yeah,
questions.
I think not everyone does like the deep dive. Like I think you were asking questions. I think you were so on top of it, which is so wonderful. And I that's just what I want all the like a lot of families to have. And I know it doesn't come easy for a lot of people, or they're afraid, or should I ask that, or is it bad to ask these questions? And I think bringing a tool that just is there, kind of as like a game on the table, it's free for all for everybody. Leaves it a little more less pressure of feeling scary or intense.
What would you say would be probably one of the scariest questions any of the kids have brought to your attention?
We had one with the boys recently. I'm trying to think what the start of it was because the answer I was like bracing myself. It was more for my fiance. I was like,
Yeah.
was along the line. I think it was the answer more than the question, but it was a question more around what is something you would like to see changed in this new year? Because I kind of did like a holiday thing and we were doing those. What was something like from this last year you don't want to bring into the new year? So the question wasn't too scary, but the topic that one of the boys wanted to talk about was maybe more so. And he said he would like to understand with his dad. And he turned to me and he said, I'm not going to get grounded for this, right? I said, no, you're, it's
Right.
a safe space. Like we're just talking. And he said, and he turned to his dad and he was like, I would like when we have disagreements that it's a two-way street conversation instead of you just talking at me
Yeah.
and I have to listen. And we all were kind of there like, and I think he was really surprised. Their dad was really surprised at first, and I think was kind of ready to a little bit be um, like abrasive with it. And
Hmm.
then I think he took a step back and was like, "You're right. You're right. We do need to try to hear." They're the two that get into it the most. He's like, "I do think I need to hear you more, but I also, equally need you to listen to me. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue with you all the time. Um, and I kind of jumped in a little bit because they started to like get into a disagreement about how they disagree. And I was like, I think at the end of the day, you're both just wanting to be heard. And yes, dad is dad, son is son. There still needs to be a respect, but also sometimes we do need to listen to what the kids are feeling or going through because we're not in their same shoes. We're not switching homes. We're not with all the stressors, all the different practices, who's taking me where, what house am I going to. So sometimes when those disagreements happen, I think it is because there's all these layers of stress, and that, sometimes the kids just like not snap but snap.
I
So we got to
love that.
figure that
And that's like a really emotional, intelligent question of your
out. Hmm.
son to ask,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
too often as parents, we get stuck in the mode, and this goes back to how we were raised, where the parent, you must listen to me. I'm right, you're wrong. Um, and we get stuck in what we call the art or the autistic argument. So,
Hmm.
because we're raising a neurodivergent household, two of the boys
Hmm.
are confirmed diagnosed with autism. So they're very much, they're right, everyone else is wrong. And we
Hmm.
go in circles, and it's like we're trying to get through to you that just because you think you're right, you're not actually right. So we call it the autistic argument, because they will die on the hill that they are right.
Yeah.
They like die on that hill. They are right and we are wrong. And sometimes we will pull out that card going, okay, you need to shut up. We're the parent now. Um,
Yeah.
but it's because we're trying to hear what they have to say, but they're just not making sense. Um,
Yes.
but it is important to hear what they're saying.
Hmm.
And that's how
Yeah, instead of just
it,
shutting it down. Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. So, but I do love that. I don't want to keep you too much longer because I actually also have to get to work as well myself because I'm working today. But this has been a very lovely conversation, and I'd love to do it again if you would ever like to come back on the podcast and we can just talk about anything at all.
Yeah, I
We
would
can,
love to. It's so easy to talk with you, so it's really nice.
that's awesome. I'm glad that you've loved it. But did you want to, before we do wrap up, did you want to plug where people can find you on socials and where they can
Yeah.
purchase your game from if they want to purchase either the ebook or the
Hmm.
hard copy of the game?
Yeah, you can follow on Instagram for at the Blended Bond. That's where you can find everything going on Blended Bond. And then I do have my website, blendedbond.com, and it links to all the products. I think I have 4 up there right now. So it's the physical deck of the 90 cards. There's the e-download, which is a mini version of the deck, but smaller payment. You can get it right away, it's instant. The single parent one that just launched, so it's called Just Us, for a
Hmm.
parent and child, parent and multiple children. And then I have a free holiday one that I've just left up because it just had some good topics for the new year, and it's still the new year to me. So yes, at the blendedbond.com, it links to all the products.
Awesome. And we can look forward to more expansions in the future because, as we
Yes,
discussed, there's
yeah,
so many other conversations that
so many
can be
more to
had.
go. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
for
well,
sure.
thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to
Yeah.
having you on and continued connection.
Yes, thank you. You as well. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. You have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
There you have it, friends. Thank you very much for joining me on another episode of Raising His Kids. I hope that you have enjoyed listening to Ashley, and please go give her a follow over at the Blended Bond, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.